What up, ninjas? There's a reason why you're watching this video. Either you've been injured, you are injured, or you're afraid of getting injured. Maybe you're my age, I'm 50 years old, or maybe you're a lot younger than me. Maybe you're in your 20s. When I started Jiu-Jitsu, I was 26, 27 years old. If you're here now and you're a younger guy or younger gal, then welcome, and you're probably the smartest person in your academy for watching this video right now. Because I always talk about BJJAfter40, but the truth is, if you're under 40, then BJJAfter40 starts now. It starts under 40, before 40. Because if you think about it, if you're 25, let's say you're 23 years old and you're like, oh man, but I'm never gonna get injured. This is a bunch of bullshit. It's just whatever, man, I'm not gonna get injured. Or even if I do get injured, I'll work through it, I'll train through it, whatever. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I'll tell you this, in 10 years from now, if you're 23, when you're 33, you're gonna love Jiu-Jitsu way more at 33 than you do 23. And at 43, after doing it 20 years, man, if you stick with it and you're able to continue doing it, then you're gonna love it even more. And you're gonna wanna do all the cool tricks at that point, because if you have a healthy body, hopefully you'll be able to. But if you're not dealing with it in a smart way right now at 23, 33, 43, 53, then there's not gonna be a future for you on the mat. I mean, that's the reality. I can tell you all the stuff right now that you need to do to stay healthy and safe on the mats. And if you don't do it, like if you just like, it goes in one ear out the other, or it just becomes an intellectual thing, but you don't take it to the heart and you don't actually apply it to your life, then, you're wasting your time even listening to this conversation right now. So, the path to a long-term sustainable Jiu-Jitsu journeys is a handful of things. It's a bunch of things. And so we'll address a bunch of these and kind of flip through them. Step number one, what I would say is, regardless of what level you're at, you got to be really, really mindful with joint locks. I talk about this a lot. Joint locks are probably the most dangerous thing that we do, because if you choke somebody, what's the worst case scenario? They pass out. That's not a great thing, but it's a funny story, right? You have a good story to tell. You get armbarred and they tweak it, you don't have a funny story to tell. You have a shitty story to tell about how you used to do jiu-jitsu, how you used to train, right? So be mindful with joint locks. Whenever we're twisting on the arms and the elbows and the shoulders and the hips and the knees, there's always an element of danger there. So my rule of thumb when I'm training, and this goes for myself and my students, a couple things. You're drilling arm bars in class. You're not locking out your partner's arm, and you're not letting people over and over again jar your joints and lock out your joints. That's, you're causing repeated wear and tear on your joints. It's not healthy and it's not sustainable. Like that constant jarring of your joints, it's like taking that sword, your weapon, which are your arms and legs and your body, and you're just, you're wearing it away. You're taking away the metal, right? So when you train in class, my rule in my school is that you're not allowed to tap people out and submit them when you're drilling moves. I should not see people tapping people. We all know that a straight arm with a fulcrum applied is going to break the arm. We don't need to test that over and over again every time we drill a move. It's just not safe. It's not smart. So that's number one. Don't let people jar out and lock out your joints. Either tap early or remind them, hey, nice and gentle, dude. Hey, keep it a little bit easier. That's a little too much. When you're rolling, this is an open chain. This is a closed chain. Here, if I'm defending an armbar, I have a chance. Here, I have no chance. I'm in the danger zone there. So if your hands are not connected to your gi, locked together, locked around your body, your arms or whatever, and someone's going back for an arm lock, an Americana, Kimura, it doesn't matter, straight arm lock, Jujutsu, it doesn't matter. You need to be tapping. And it's important too to encourage a culture in your school where people are tapping early and people are letting people out. Like, you're not locking out your arms over and over again. You have to be really careful with that. So that's, that's important. And it's important, again, to foster a sense of community where it's okay to do that. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to tap early on stuff. Like, people go, oh, don't tap early, man. You could have got out, right? Like, man, most of the time an arm bar is trying to escape. It's mostly kind of dangerous. So be careful with your joints, and don't let people do that to your joints. Don't accept that in your training. You also want to make sure that you're addressing your emotional regulation on the mats. In Jiu-Jitsu, we always say, leave your ego at the door. I love that saying. I think it was the Machados that were the first ones that really started saying that or having that in their academies. Leave your ego at the door. I love that. It's a great saying, but it's a little vague sometimes because you tell people leave your ego at the door, but they don't always understand what that means. So emotional regulation for me, when I reference it towards my training, means I'm able to avoid these huge highs and lows on the mats. So if I'm rolling with somebody and I get a technique and I'm like, get a sweep, I'm not jumping up and down going, yeah, I got a sweep. There's no high, right? And if I'm getting swept, I'm not freaking out going, oh shit, or, even like verbalizing that, or like, being caught up in that loop of like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So when you're in those highs and lows, from just a pragmatic standpoint, like if somebody sweeps me and I'm still thinking about being swept, they're already onto my back and onto the next technique. So that never serves me, just from a pragmatic standpoint. It also never serves me to celebrate when I get a technique, because again, like I'm getting out of the flow now. I'm not in the zone anymore. I'm not in that state of flow. I'm somewhere else. I'm celebrating. I'm breaking that nice flow that I already had going by celebrating, right? So I want to be middle road, right? No highs and lows. The highs and lows are what create the ego flares, in my opinion. And what do I mean by an ego flare? Well, that can be a lot of things. It could be that armbar, right? My arms aren't attached to anything and I'm fighting so hard to get out of that armbar. I don't want to tap. And then all of a sudden, boom, they squeeze. Or I'm the guy pulling the armbar. They don't want to tap. I'm going to teach them a lesson. Or I get my ego engaged. I won this. I had this arm. I'm going to finish it. And then somebody gets hurt. Emotional regulation. Highs and lows. You can see the high and low there, right? So middle road, right? Like if I'm going for an armbar and they're defending, it's okay to let someone out of an armbar. It's okay to keep the action going. It's okay to keep the movement going. It's okay to tap early. It's never, every rule can't be like this win-loss thing. I always think win-learn, not win-loss. If I get a good technique, I learn something. It's a win. If I get caught in a technique or I make a mistake, lesson learned, right? I learned something. I don't fall into the trap of, oh man, I suck at jiu-jitsu, or it's something about me. Whenever you get caught in a technique, it's not 100% your fault. It's 50% their fault for getting the technique. So they deserve some credit. So good job. If you catch me in a technique, you did something right. And I'm going to hopefully not make the same mistakes again. So not getting caught in that loop when you're rolling of highs and lows, not engaging that ego, being okay at tapping and learning a lesson. It's okay to let someone out of a technique so that they can learn too, and encourage them to like, hey man, you had that armbar, just be mindful, lock your hands together and give them some feedback so it serves them in their training too. So those are all important things on the mat. Off the mat, we're always thinking about our recovery. How do we address our recovery? So you have to listen to your body. That's so important. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you should train through an injury. If somebody tells you to train through an injury, they don't give a shit about you. They literally don't care about you, and they're doing you a huge disservice. And it's important for you to recognize that and see that for what it is. So if a coach is telling you, train through injuries, you're going to be fine. You're not going to be fine. You're tearing down your body. You're wearing down your body. That's going to eventually lead to a long-term injury. When you get injured, it has to travel a cycle. Think about like you scrape your elbow, right? It's got to scab, it's got to heal, it's got to create new skin. It's got to do all the stages of that healing process. So when you're injured, you need to allow your body to travel the entire cycle of that injury. If you keep interrupting that by aggravating, making it worse, it becomes chronic, and then it becomes a long-term problem. And maybe right today it won't be that bad, but it's gonna come up later. So it's important that you not train through injuries, that you allow your body to heal. And don't put yourself in a state of injury. Again, being careful on the mats with your rolls so you're not getting injured. You're gonna get bumped and bruised. You're gonna get bumped and bruised a lot at the beginning. Your legs are going to look peppered. Your arms are going to look peppered with bruises. That's pretty normal when you first start jiu-jitsu. But after about 6 months, you shouldn't be bruised up all the time. You shouldn't be getting annihilated and torn up on the mats. You know, you're going to get some mat burn and all that stuff, but it's not, I'm talking about like getting injured or getting elbowed or catching elbows or elbowing other people or tweaking your shoulder or hurting your neck. All of that stuff, you know, is completely unnecessary if you're smart with your time on the mats and then your time off the mats. So daily stretching. I love Epsom salt baths to soak. I love using a good quality CBD product is always awesome. All of the supplements that Origin sells, it's all amazing stuff, and you can look at the ingredients. It's all really high quality stuff. I love their joint supplements. I couldn't live without their joint warfare and their krill. It's amazing. And you know, those are all things that are going to serve your body. So jiu-jitsu demands a lot of your body on the mats. It's important that you're addressing everything off the mat. So when you get done training, that's your time now to serve your body. And it's not just, you know, one or two things. It's the entire spectrum. It's your diet. It's addressing everything. But again, you got to be careful with the time on and off the mats. And you got to be careful that, like, if you are feeling a little bumped and bruised, it's okay to take a few days off. You can't train 7 days a week. If you're going to your academy 7 days a week, that's too much. It's way too much. You need to find other interests in your life. Remember, you didn't start jiu-jitsu to give up your life for jiu-jitsu. You started to do jiu-jitsu, if I can say it. You started jiu-jitsu to give it to your life, right? Not to give up your life for jiu-jitsu, but to give jiu-jitsu to your life, to improve other areas of your life, to give you balance, to help you with your emotional states, to get you in the best shape of your life, to allow you to improve your relationship with your spouse, to allow you to improve your relationship with your coworkers. So it's going to be something that can really expand into your life. But if you're not on the mats in 6 months or a year from now, then you're not going to be able to experience everything in jiu-jitsu, and you're not going to be able to, you know, as you progress, you're going to get better at this, and you're going to get more excited about it, and you're going to want to play with all these new tools, but you got to still have the body to do it. So remember, BJJAfter40 starts now. Not tomorrow, not in 10 years from now when you turn 40, or maybe you're already past 40. It starts in the present moment. And it's a shift in the way that you think about your training. When I teach in my own school, I talk about the difference between being a lifeguard and being a swim instructor. I don't want to be a lifeguard to my students. I want to feel like I can give them the tools to swim and they're going to be safe in the water. If I didn't train them properly, then I got to be the lifeguard. They're going crazy, they're going too hard, people aren't safe, they're tweaking people's joints. I got to be rescuing people all the time. It's not a safe environment. So if you're in a school that feels more like there's got to be lifeguards, then maybe it's time for a shift. Maybe try a different place to train. I don't know. You got to be careful with that because, you know, I can say all of this stuff, but if the environment that you're training in is not safe, then ultimately it's not going to serve you anyhow. So that's some of my advice. I hope it helps, but again, you got to apply. You can't just have it go in one ear and go out the other ear, and then you're right back into school doing the same thing again. Discipline is like a muscle. It requires work and it requires your time and your effort, right? Having that discipline to roll at controllable speeds, having that discipline to tap early, having that discipline to not crank someone's joint, having that discipline to do all of the things off the mat that are going to serve you on the mat. Discipline is like a muscle. If you exercise it, it gets strong. If you don't, it gets weaker and it atrophies. So you get to decide how you're going to strengthen those muscles or how you're going to break yourself down, and maybe you won't even be on the mats in a year from now. I hope you are. Happy training. Os.